dependent samples t-test or paired samples t-test. This video will teach you about what is paired sample t-test, purpose of running paired sample t-test, the steps in running paired sample t-test in SPSS, interpret the outputs paired sample or dependent samples t-test. Purpose of the dependent sample or paired sample t-test is to test a dependent variable in 2 times. For example, if you want to identify the differences in satisfaction of the employees before promotion and after promotion, you can measure the satisfaction of the staff before the promotion, that is the time 1, and then you can measure the satisfaction of the employees after promotion given. Then you can compare the satisfaction between these 2 times and interpret the answers. So another example, if you want to know about the happiness of the people during lockdown and after lockdown, then you can measure the happiness of the people during the lockdown period and after lockdown period. Then you can measure the happiness and compare the mean values between these 2 different periods. And another example, if a sales manager wants to identify whether the advertisement is effective, he or she can measure the sales before the advertisement and after advertisement. So sales can be measured in 2 times, before the advertisement and the after advertisement. Then the average sales can be compared between these 2 time periods, and the sales manager can decide whether the advertisement works to improve the sales level. When you run the paired sample or dependent sample t-test, you have to consider the following assumptions. First one, the dependent variable should be normally distributed. To validate the assumptions whether the dependent variable is normally distributed, you can follow the descriptive analysis. The dependent variable should be measured in 2 times. If you want to measure these mean differences in more than 2 times, you have to run repeated measures one way and over. For the dependent or paired sample t-test, you should have only 2 times. You can compare the dependent variable in 2 different times. Then the third assumption is same samples in 2 different times. When you are measuring the dependent variable in 2 different time period, you have to select the same sample for the time 1 and time 2. For example, if you want to compare the satisfaction level of the employees before the promotion and after promotion, you have to select the same employees to measure the satisfaction level in time 1 and time 2. Then we will see how we can run this dependent or paired sample in SPSS. A researcher is interested in whether a training course increases the job commitment of the employees who attend the training. The researcher has selected 20 employees and measured their job commitment before training and after training. The job commitment is measured in 10-point scale. The file is open. Job commitment before training and after training is given here. Job commitment was measured before the training and job commitment is measured after training right now. Then you can compare the mean difference between these 2 periods. Steps in running dependent sample in SPSS. Click on Analyze, then click on Compare Mean, then click on Paired Sample t-test. There will be a dialog box. You have 2 different time periods, commitment before training and commitment after training. Now you have to bring those pairs into the paired variable box. Commitment before training you have to bring as a variable 1, pair 1. Then commitment after training you have to bring as a variable 2. So you have 1 pair, variable 1 and variable 2, the commitment in 2 different periods. Then click on OK. Now we have the outputs of dependent sample t-test. Before interpreting the answers, you have to write the hypothesis for the dependent sample t-test. Here the objective of the research is to identify whether there is any difference in commitment between time 1 and time 2. You are going to check whether the differences is there in commitment between time 1 and time 2, that before training and after training. So your null hypothesis can be written as commitment of the employees are equal before training and after training. Or you can write there is no difference in commitment or between two times. An alternative hypothesis can be written as commitment of the employees are not equal before training and after training. Or maybe you can write the alternative hypothesis as there is a difference in commitment between time 1 and time 2, or before training and after training. Then we can see the output 1. The output 1 shows you a paired sample statistic. In this output you can see the mean of commitments, that before training the mean is 3.5, the commitment is 3.5. After training the commitment is 4.7. There are 20 number of employees have been selected to identify their commitment in two different periods, and standard deviations are given. And in the second table you can see the paired sample correlation. So correlation between this time 1 and time 2 is given. So the correlation is there because the significant value is less than 0.05. For more interpretation about the correlation analysis, you can learn the correlation analysis video. Then the third output is paired sample t-test output. In this output, you can test your hypothesis. In this table, the significant value is 0.000. So this value is less than the significant level, but we have 0.05. Therefore, you have to reject your null hypothesis and accept your alternative hypothesis. It means commitment of the employees are not equal before training and after training. There is a difference in commitment between time 1 and time 2. Before training and after training, there is a difference. It means training increases the commitment of the employees, because before training the commitment was 3.5. After training the commitment of the employees is 4.7. So therefore the training works and the commitment has been improved. Then you can interpret the output. You can conclude from the output that the training works well and it improved the commitment of the employees from 3.5 to 4.7. In this video lesson, you have learned about the dependent sample t-test or paired sample t-test and the assumptions related to this test, how you can interpret your output to make conclusions. Thank you.